What if you could do one thing, just one thing, that would not only make you feel better, both physically and mentally, but would also make you healthier and more productive? Well, for me, there really is such a thing, and it's really simple. It's called getting enough sleep. I know that sleep is really important. In fact, I previously wrote about the importance of sleep in an article called Not Only Why You Can, But You Should Sleep Your Way to Success. You can find it on the RV Business Coach blog, and I'll put a link to it down below. But sleep, unfortunately for me, has been one of those do as I say, not as I do kind of things. But I'm taking steps to correct that. Because judging from the number of times that I was taking 2 naps a day, I was obviously pretty sleep deprived. Not that napping is bad. Michael Hyatt makes a really strong case for naps. I'll put a link to his article down below too. But I still got to think 2 naps a day, that's probably a little bit excessive. Consequently, I started doing research on how to get more sleep. In doing so, I ran across Craig Ballantyne's 10-3-2-1-0 method. Have you heard about it? Here's how it works. 10 is the number of hours before bedtime that you stop consuming caffeine. Caffeine can stay in the body a really long time, so if we stop consuming it 10 hours before bedtime, it gives the body plenty of time to process the caffeine, flush it out of the system, and so it won't affect our night's sleep. If I'm being honest, I'm still working on that goal. I'm having caffeine a little bit closer than 10 hours to bedtime. 3 is the number of hours before bedtime that you stop eating heavy meals or eating spicy things or drinking alcohol. The reason for this is we want to give our body plenty of time to digest that stuff so that by bedtime we're through digestion and ready to sleep. Now I'm doing pretty good on this piece of the goal. 2 is the number of hours before bedtime that you stop doing any work. Now I'm pretty good at stopping the work 2 hours before bedtime, but sometimes I'm still working on the personal stuff that late. Things like paying bills or answering personal emails. So definitely working on improving that goal. And finally, 1 is the number of hours before bedtime that you turn off all electronics. Now you've no doubt heard that electronics emit blue light, and that blue light messes with our body's functioning, our body's timing, and makes it much more difficult to get to sleep. So stopping using electronics an hour before bedtime gives the body a chance to be in sync and ready to go to sleep. This is another one where I could improve. I am getting a lot better at it though. Now, if you do all of those steps, and if you go to bed in time to get a full night's sleep, then the last part, the 0, is really easy. 0 is the number of times you hit snooze on your alarm clock. Now, Ballantyne makes the argument that every time you hit snooze, you're telling your dreams and your goals, the things that you say are important, that they're not really all that important, that you would rather have 10 minutes of lying there than actually making progress on those goals. And it's compounded by the fact that that extra 10 minutes you get on the snooze isn't likely to be a deep, restful sleep. And a lot of times you wake up even groggier than before. So really good habit here is when the alarm clock goes off, get up and start your daily routine. I've gotten really good at this part of the plan, and I'm finding it to help me be a lot more productive during the day. Now, Ballantyne makes some additional suggestions for improving your sleep. For example, remove all the extraneous light from your room. You know, those chargers that have glowing lights, the thermostat, that sometimes those thermostats have enough light that you can read by them. All of those extraneous light sources prevent our body from getting as deep a sleep as we need. So get them out of the room, cover them up, whatever it takes to get a nice dark place to sleep. If need be, like sometimes when you're camping and there's a bright light right outside your window, get a sleep mask so that you can block out that light and give your body a chance to really get to sleep. Likewise, you need to cut out noise. Try in your home environment, get rid of as many noise sources as you can, but again, sometimes you can't control it. Again, you're out in the RV and the guy next to you is up playing loud music. So getting some earplugs can help with that. Block out that noise and give your body a really good chance to have a restful sleep. Finally, Ballantyne suggests using an old school alarm clock, not using the alarm clock on your phone, but one of those ding-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding things, because it removes the temptation of playing with your phone. You won't get the blue light effect because you decided to scroll through Facebook one more time before turning out the light. And you won't waste half your morning getting involved in scrolling through social media or reading the news or whatever. So an old school alarm clock can help with the ability to just get up and get into your routine. Now, of course, the real kicker of all of this is that you need to get enough sleep. To do that, we need to plan out what time we need to go to bed. So here's how it works. Start with the time you want to be at work. For me, that's 8 o'clock. Then subtract your commute time. For me, that's a big 0. Then subtract the time for your morning routine. It's good not to have a real complicated morning routine. For me, it's like 5 deep breaths for kind of a cleansing, 5 minutes of meditating for centering, and then going into doing writing. And I found that doing that is really helping me get a lot more writing done. So I allow 30 minutes for that. Then subtract the time it takes you to get ready. Shower, dress, eat, all that kind of stuff. For me, that's about an hour. Then subtract hours for the amount of sleep you need. Now, for some people, they need a little bit more. Some people can do with less. You've got to find your own body system. But for this calculation, let's go with 8 hours. So the result of that calculation is your bedtime. For me, that was 8 o'clock minus 0, minus 30 minutes, minus an hour, minus 15 minutes, minus 8 hours, and that equals 10:15. So I need to be going to sleep at 10:15. So that's what time we actually need to be in bed, but it's going to take a little bit of time to shut down and get ready for bed. So let's allow 30 minutes for that. So taking off another 30 minutes means that I should start heading to bed at 9:45. I can't even begin to fathom heading to bed at 9:45. I mean, a lot of times we're still trying to get the kids to bed at 9:45. So definitely an area that I can work on here. But here's the thing. I have two choices. I can either say, no way I'm ever going to bed at 9:45, give up, or I can set a goal to get this. Now, knowing the importance of sleep like I do, I have to take the second option. I have to start working on a goal of getting to bed earlier. So how do you do that? Well, I can treat it like any other goal. First, I got to get really clear about what I want, why I want it, and then I got to commit to it. It's not going to happen if you don't commit. Then break it down and start taking steps towards getting there. So every day I make a little more progress and we get to bed a little bit earlier, and we're working on, backing up and getting to bed at a reasonable time. I'm also sharing what time I go to bed with my accountability group, because sometimes having someone to help hold you accountable can be really helpful to make sure you're making progress towards your goals. Are you working on any goals right now? It might be a simple goal like me, just trying to get more sleep, or maybe it's a much larger goal. Maybe you're trying to tackle the goal of really realizing your independent lifestyle dream, being able to enjoy the freedom of travel, not being tied to a desk, and being able to get out there and do it before retirement. Whatever your goal, whether it's big or small, if you would like help setting, clarifying, and achieving that goal, I would love to help. Keep an eye out for an upcoming offer. I'm revamping my Best Year Yet course that I offered at the beginning of the year, revamping it to be applicable to mid-year, because you know what? 2021 is over halfway gone. But there is still time to make this your best year yet. So watch for that course, and I'll talk to you soon.